Hey, welcome to Dan's Model Works. And today we're going to do a thing. What's the thing we're going to do? It's a thing that a few other people have done. And I think it goes back to a thing that somebody else did. And that was, and I don't know which YouTuber asked it first, but it was, how did you get involved in model building? So I would like to just do a little shout out to Eddie Block and to Dirk Pitt. I found out about this thing through them. And I'm going to put a little card up around here somewhere-ish. So if you've never seen Eddie Block's videos, if you've never seen Dirk Pitt's videos, you can check those out. And especially I'd like you to look at Dirk Pitt's channel because he's basically relaunched it. And we have a dog running down the stairs behind us. Okay, we've tried to banish the dog from the room. So the question is how did I get involved in building models? And I had thought about concocting an elaborate tale about how I learned to build models in a Tibetan monastery back in the mid-30s. I was like, let's just keep it real. So basically, I got involved in building models by watching my father work on models, which I suppose is probably where maybe 50% of us got interested in building models. And I can vaguely recall him building a model of a Supermarine aircraft racing model that was featured in the Schneider's Cup. Don't know if you're familiar with them. They were like basically a very straight wing with a giant predecessor to the Griffin engine on it, and just the pilot's head sticking out of the top. And they were float planes. But I can recall him building this Supermarine Racer and handing me the wings after he'd glued it together with tube cement and saying, "Here, Daniel, hold this together." So, of course, there I am, maybe 6 years old, 7 years old, holding these two pieces of wing together like this. And the conversation basically went, "Can I put it down yet? No. Is it dry yet? No. How about now? No. My hands are getting tired. No. How long is it going to be till it dries? No. Is it dry yet? No." I just think of using glues like Flexifile, where you put it on literally 15 seconds, it's dry, at the old tester's tube cement that takes forever. So I remember him working on that plane. And then there were a couple of snap together kits that I built. I'm pretty sure one was a 1/32 scale Camaro. I don't know who manufactured that. And then the next one was the Lindbergh 1/48 scale Tiger 1 tank. And I'll flash up an image of the box top, not my box top because I don't have that. That would be silly. And I do actually still have part of that tank. This is it. This is all that's left of that 1/48 scale Tiger 1 by Lindbergh. And as you can see, the tracks were all just one big molding. And I do remember that kit having some sort of it had 4 actual round wheels that poked out the bottom of the model, and there was some sort of a wind-up thing that you could wind it up and it would drive along. Anybody who's built the kit recently, and I know it was released in the early 2000s, again, who knows about this mechanism, maybe you can enlighten us, but yeah, the idea was you would kind of wind it up and it would drive along. I don't know if that version of the kit had those parts in it. I know I could never make it work. And you know what? I kind of wish I could find the other side of this, because I do have a potential use for it in the future. Then at some point, and I don't know what age I was, I got my first glue together kit, and it, I believe, was the Monogram Model A Woody Hot Rod as opposed to the straight Model A Woody. and we'll show that now.
So here it is, Monogram's Model A hot rod. And if we flip it over here, you wouldn't be able to see it because it's all yellow, of course, but you can see there's the copyright and everything. Monogram Models Incorporated, made in USA. I don't know if this was from the original time this was released or whether it was released back in the 60s a couple times, but this particular issue was probably from the mid-70s. And as you can see, paint? I don't need no stinking paint. It's all yellow underneath. As a matter of fact, pretty much anything you see that's painted on it, I actually would have painted a few years later. For some reason or other, I at a later date decided to paint the fenders brown. So this was my first glue together model, and why on earth it still exists and it survived all this time. And really the only part I can think of that's missing is the hood. And I have a sneaking suspicion if I really looked around for the hood, I might be able to find it. So, of course, now that I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, what I feel like doing is popping this poor sucker apart and redoing it good. So that might be a project we see in the future. If you're interested in me repenting my sins and doing something constructive with this, you can let me know in the comments. So anyway, this was my first glue together kit, and amazingly enough, it still exists. And one big booger I made, if you look at the horn, if we really zoom in close on the horn here, you can see there's some kind of crap inside there. That's because idiot boy me, I confused it with the alternator, and I glued it on there at first. So wasn't too good at following instructions, and some people would argue that I'm still not very good at following instructions.
The next kit was a kit that I don't have anymore, and that was the original Corvette, and that was the first model that I actually painted all up and everything. And I remember it was one of these where my father really took an interest in, this is what you should do next, and this is what you should do next, and this is what you should do next. So everything was painted properly on it. And I think I probably was like, geez, this is taking forever, as opposed to just whipping stuff together with glue. Sometime after that, my parents had bought the membership in the Model of the Month Club, which I believe I mentioned back in the detailing a jet engine video. And basically what that was every month we'd get this brown box, this anonymous looking brown box in the mail, and it would have a kit in it, and sometimes it would be Monogram, occasionally Revell. A lot of it was Aurora, and it was always a standard box that was just about the size of a regular car kit box now. And they would have a piece of paper in it that was basically a reproduction of the front of the kit, like the front of the box art. And most of them were cars. There was a couple of armor subjects. There was the American Deuce and a Half. I remember that one, and that's the thing that really got me into building armor. And then as I got into my teen years, I started to get more into model railroading, which my dad was always into a little bit. And when we lived in Montreal, we built a model railroad together when I was in high school. And then when we moved back to Ontario, to Ottawa, we built another model railroad. And both of those were pretty disastrous. They weren't really good on the reliability scale. When I got married the first time, I built a model railroad in the apartment. It was just a small one, the model railroad. The apartment was pretty small too. And that was around the time that my father and I both started with N-Track, which is the N-scale model railroading that I've talked about before. And I was in that for quite some time, and just kind of dipping my toe back into static models, which is not model railroading. And then I think it was around the time that my oldest daughter was born, I started to get back into static models again, big time, and not so much armor anymore, but mostly aircraft and cars and trucks and things. And I also custom built some models for some customers and things like that at the hobby shop where I worked. So I guess that's the condensed story of me being in model building. Oh, and the name of the channel is just basically the name of that I used on business cards when people wanted a card for somebody. Oh, is there anyone who can do some custom model building or custom painting for me? I just figured, oh, let's come up with Dan's Model Works. Let's misspell it, and aren't we original? And so, since I'd already used that name before and nothing was really coming up as anyone else owning it, that's what I threw on as the channel. So, until next time, thanks for watching, and just keep on modeling.